Buffalo Sabres have signed defenseman Rasmus the Dalai Lama Dahlin to an 8-year, $88 million contract extension. He is just 23 years old, former number 1 overall, career best 15 goals, 58 assists last season, 8th all-time in Sabres franchise history for points by a defenseman. Only Erik Karlsson, as we welcome back our good friends Craig Button and Mike Johnson by the fireplace. Only Erik Karlsson will make more next year among defensemen. 23 years old. We saw him take a leap the last 2 seasons, really. How do you guys like the deal?
Well, I mean,
first blush, what was your reaction? At first, I thought
I was surprised by the dollar amount.
Yeah,
really?
Seemed a little bit heavy.
You thought 11 too high. Where did you see him? Like 9?
Around 10, just under 10, I thought.
Right.
Was my initial gut reaction.
I had him in my top 5 in Norris Trophy final balloting last year.
Right.
I think he's a number 1 defenseman. But it seemed that hey, listen, his agents, I mean, obviously did a great job for him. Buffalo values him, but you think about where he's at. 73 points last year, 23 years of age. After this year, you got him for 8 more years.
Yeah.
That takes him to 32. You're going to get him all prime years in that.
Yep.
And so to me, what are you paying that in terms of where could he go? Could he be a consistent 80-point guy? I think he can be. You feel, and I concur with you, got to prove his defensive game, but so does the rest of the team overall.
He's one of the best offensive defensemen in the league. He had a fantastic year last year. I think the point you make about his age is so important.
That's a great point.
You're going to get his best years. You're not signing a guy from 30 to 38, especially like the Winnipeg guys might have been. You're getting him in the meat of his career. And Buffalo has bet big early on a lot of their young stars. Tage Thompson looks pretty.
Oh, that contract looks
good.
great.
Dylan Cousins looks pretty good. Even so, you go down the list. They've turned out.
And you're going to have to pay Owen Power real soon here.
Yeah, and he's going to be dragged up by this contract. But he's very good. And if the cap keeps going up, Kevin Adams knows what he's doing. But second highest paid player in the league, or defenseman in the league, he's not the second best defenseman in the league.
Right.
So let's go back and think about Tage Thompson when he signed his contract. A lot of eyebrows were raised.
Yes.
I was one of them.
I'm not kidding. Me too, right? When Leon Draisaitl signed for 8.5, I was like, whoa.
A lot of eyebrows raised there,
I mean, Tage Thompson and Leon Draisaitl are unbelievable value contracts. They've so far outperformed their contracts, and I guess Buffalo's looking at it and going.
Question is, how great does Dahlin have to become to outperform that contract?
They said he was the next Nick Lidstrom when he was drafted number 1 overall, so he's got to get there. That's all.
That's
no big deal.
Just be that guy.
Hey, guys, let's talk.
It's like trying to be the next Bobby Orr.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to say the next Jay Onrait.
Well, that's a tough thing. There's only one of those.
You were a goalie, weren't you?
I was a stay-at-home defenseman, pylon. Let's talk about the Oilers. They had really just one significant piece, Connor Brown. Jack Campbell has a nice preseason. It's the whole cup or bust thing. What does this team need to do to finally get that cup?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're a really good team. I think the biggest challenge for the Edmonton Oilers is their own division. You got the Vegas Golden Knights, you got the LA Kings. We've talked about the Calgary Flames, who we feel are going to be improved. The Seattle Kraken were a good team this year. That's a hard with really good teams in their division.
Yep.
Listen, we know what 97 and 29 can do. I think they got some really good high end. If there was anything I would like to see them do is just add a little bit more speed into their bottom group of forwards, some size maybe. And Vegas really felt that they beat Edmonton last year with their 3rd and 4th lines.
Right.
So if you can get a little bit stronger in that area, they don't need much, just a little bit, and I think they could get there. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I think what they've shown is that those top guys can get it done in the playoffs. There's no question that they're capable of leading that team all the way to the Stanley Cup. They get better goaltending. It's not like goals have dried up on them. They just need a few more saves or a little bit better defense, and I think they'll be right there. They've had sort of that couple steps forward, couple steps back the last few years. I think they're ready to take the big step. I expect them to win the Pacific Division, which may matter this year.
Yes.
Matchups, you don't want Vegas in the first round. I think winning the division might matter a lot in the Pacific, and I expect them to do that.
Well, by winning, and just if you win the Pacific, now you're playing the wild card team.
Yeah.
If you finish second, you're playing one of those teams in your division, and ostensibly, if you win that, then you're playing the first place team, and that path becomes so winning your division is really important for you.
Absolutely. You guys mentioned Calgary. You expect them to be improved, like new front office. Sullivan Volge's talked to us about this a ton. he's around the team all the time. He's like, it's just a totally different feel around there without Daryl Sutter. And, the Michael Backlund captaincy and extension seems to have been one of those deals that you might not understand it as much if you're not in that market and you don't know that team, how important that was. Maybe the rest of the players, to have this person with a C that is clearly the leader on the ice. He's been there forever. What are your expectations for this Flames team?
Well, listen, they lost 22 games last year in overtime or shootout. That means they were 1 goal short in 22 games.
31 goal losses, most in the league.
Yeah,
wow.
and the regulation, but the 22 is when you needed 1 goal. They couldn't find it.
Yeah.
If they find 2 of those games, they're in the playoffs. Last year there was a lot of, friction in the organization, and now they've changed it. But I think the team has really good players, and much like Winnipeg, don't be surprised if you hear about Lindholm signing an extension, maybe Tanev, maybe Hanifin.
Maybe Hanifin,
Backlund, he signed.
All these guys we thought were out the door.
Well, people's minds change, not just because of what they see in terms of the environment being better, but also what may not be out there that they thought maybe, just like Winnipeg.
Yeah. I think they're going to be much better.
Yeah.
I think they could play the exact same as last year and make the playoffs. Like even if Huberdeau gets his 55 points, they'll make the playoffs doing the exact same thing this year as they did last year, because all those 1 goal overtime shootout losses, they won't have that happen this year. That's just not how it works. And I still expect them to be better. I do think Sutter, great coach, great success, not a great fit in that moment with that group. Yeah. And so freeing those guys up to just play, bouncing back after last year, I think they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be a tough team.
Let's talk about Vancouver. Not sure they're a playoff team, but I'm not, maybe the fan base doesn't expect them to be. They want to see improvement under Rick Tocchet. And Craig, you've talked constantly about their need to improve their D. They add Carson Soucy, they add Ian Cole. You get a veteran in there on the blue line who's won before. What do you think under Tocchet? Is this team going to be significantly better?
Well, they traded for Philip Roenick, too, which I think is really significant. A healthy Philip Roenick can ease some of the pressure on Quinn Hughes.
Right.
Quinn Hughes is clearly a top #1 defenseman. But, Micah, you know what OBQ is? One big question. It's.
I didn't know what that was either.
Yeah,
I don't know all the time.
Our ratings on OBQ are off the charts.
I know OBJ.
Yeah. So one big question, we talked about it, Mike. What did we talk about with Vancouver? We can talk. They've made incremental improvements on the blue line, and there's an ideal of what you'd like to have, but this isn't just about the blue line. This is about the team.
And Rick Tocchet, I think, will get their attention to try to get them to play a little bit better that way. 2 players stand out to me that could help them be overachieved this year. Thatcher Demko, healthy.
Yes.
He's capable of being really, really good.
100%.
If he can stay healthy and give him 55 games or so, that would be a big step forward. And make no mistake, Elias Pettersson is one of the best players in the league.
100%.
Like a quietly incredible season last year. Really takes steps. He's good defensively, too. It's not like he's a black hole defensively just chasing points. Those 2 guys, one at the front, one at the back, they could help guide this team forward to maybe be a bit better. Tough division. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but maybe be above 500 in the 80s in the points.
And that potential Pettersson extension looms over the team, right? Like how they play. He keeps alluding to the fact that he needs to see a winning culture.
I like
he needs
players
to see.
just like, I'm not so, these, like, what does Pettersson have in front of him right now? $100 million?
Yeah,
I
for
would say
sure.
so.
8 years, 12 and a half?
Yes.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And like, what does Hanifin have in front of him? He's got 50? And they're like, not sure. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with players saying, I believe in myself. I don't have to have the security of that amount of money because I'm going to be good no matter what, no matter where I go.
Yeah.
I like that. It's new. This is not something we used to see.
Not something you saw in your
I
time.
would have done. But I like that guys are doing that because he's like, you know what? I'll go get another 100-point season, and I'm going to cost just as much, even more. And if we're not good, I don't like where we're going, I'll go find it somewhere else. And he'll get it somewhere else.
One thing I've learned, prices never go down. As much as the owners want the prices to go down,
Not on quality.
They don't go down. And Elias Pettersson, you sign him right now to an 8-year deal. He's just like Darlene, prime of his career for those 8 years. Get it done. And I agree with Mike. I mean, pay him 12 and you just see what Austin Matthews signed for. We know where that's the quality of player Elias Pettersson is.
Yeah, and the cap continues to go up. When we come back, we're chatting with these guys one final time. And we're going to get their Stanley Cup predictions.
Just once more?
Yeah, just one more time. We thought 4 chats was enough.